Another USC student has tested positive for coronavirus. His story next.
Today, we are launching a fund that will support our students, our healthcare professionals, our employees, and our community.
We have more on the 4 new funds USC President Carol Folt announced.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
You feel this incredible anger when you're so tired and you're so weak. It's different than other sicknesses in just how weak you feel. And it makes you angry. It makes you want to have, someone to fight, but there's no one really there.
The number of people infected with the coronavirus continues to multiply, and today, Los Angeles County announced 7 new deaths. Good evening, I'm Caleb Michael reporting from Brentwood.
And I'm Nicola Wenz reporting from Beverly Hills. Our reporter Trevor Sohaki talked to a USC student who unfortunately did test positive.
Thanks, Caleb and Nicola. Mark Rabinowitz flew to Cancun, Mexico for a weekend to enjoy his last spring break. Now he's holed up in the USC hotel, waiting out what he hopes to be the last few days of COVID-19 symptoms. I spoke with him earlier.
There's a lot of things you can catch in Mexico, so my first thought wasn't corona. It was really just like as a safety precaution. So I was pretty surprised when the news came back and they said I did have corona. You can be contagious for some time and not even know it. So I'm just thinking back to that plane ride I took. I was sitting next to some, she seemed around 50 or 60. And I don't know how she is, and I think about it a lot. The first thing I thought was like my lungs are gonna give out. I gotta get oxygen right away. Save that for the people that need it.
Rabinowitz says his experience with the USC Health Center was quick and easy, and encourages anyone with symptoms to get tested. He's looking forward to getting out of isolation and might donate some of his blood to help fight the disease.
And due to this unprecedented time, just this evening, USC extended its deadline for students to select a pass/no-pass grade option. The new guidelines allows undergraduate students up to 1 week after official grades are posted to opt for a letter grade, pass or no record. The new deadline is May 27th. The university also announced that future applicants who take courses with the pass or no pass grading option at any school during the COVID-19 pandemic will not be at a disadvantage when applying to any of USC's undergraduate, graduate, or professional schools.
A USC Department of Public Safety officer has tested positive for coronavirus. The employee worked in the DPS Communications Center in the PSA building. According to an email, the person was last on campus March 25th. Chief Health Officer Sarah Van Orman said the university will reinforce health measures within DPS. For more on this story, please go to uscannenbergmedia.com. Coronavirus cases in Los Angeles County continue to rise. Today, there are 342 new cases, bringing the total for the county to 2,474 cases. The number of deaths in LA County now stands at 44.
Last Wednesday, I tested negative for coronavirus. I'm Dawson Michelle reporting from Redondo Beach, California, where I'm now safely back home with my family. I was tested last Wednesday through the USC Ingham Student Health Center after hearing that somebody I was in contact with over spring break had tested positive for the virus. So I called the health center early Wednesday morning and was put on a Zoom conference with a doctor almost immediately. I explained my situation to him, and he told me that he'd order a test for me to take that day at the health center. So I drove over, leaving my house in Redondo, and when I got to campus, there were a few pop-up tents set up outside the health center, and I had to have another nurse confirm my test order, and there was a bunch of medical staff, covered in gloves and masks and protective gear. But once the nurse had confirmed my order for a test, I was sat down, and another nurse stuck a huge stick up my nose for about 10 seconds, and then I was done. But she told me that results would take 5 business days, so I self-quarantined at my house near campus to stay away from my family in case I was carrying the disease and didn't want to spread it. But after 3 long days full of video games, Netflix, and FaceTiming friends and family, I finally got my results back on Saturday and found out that I was negative for corona for COVID-19. So I was able to return home, and now I'm just really happy to be back with my parents and brother, and I will not be leaving the house anytime soon.
South Korea has developed a location tracing app in order to enforce quarantine amongst individuals who are returning from a foreign country. My name is Alexander Song, and I'm reporting from South Korea. When I returned to Korea last Wednesday, March 25th, I was escorted to a booth located outside of immigration. The booth had me download an app that would have me log my symptoms for the next 14 days during my self-isolation. After downloading the app, the booth gave me a certificate that allowed me to get through security and into immigration. The app requires its user to submit a daily self-diagnosis of the potential symptoms for COVID-19. The app also provides the location for screening clinics across the country along with a prevention guide. Users are required to input their passport number and go through a phone verification process. The quarantine is then enforced by tracking the location of the user. I talked to some students who returned to Korea due to online classes about the tracking feature.
I think it's mostly a necessary precaution that we need to take. And even though it is an infringement upon freedom, I feel like in this current setting, it is necessary in order to help save people's lives and help to try to reduce the infection rate so we can go back to our regular lives.
I think it's kind of screwed up and it's pretty dangerous because it sets a bad precedent for the future. The government, there was to stop the government from keep recording our location. They might continue to take more of our rights and freedom.
As the coronavirus continues to sweep the nation, it carries with it heightened xenophobia and acts of hatred towards Asian American communities. I'm Ella Katz, reporting from Chicago. Earlier today, 3 members of Congress addressed this issue.
That people not use the word Chinese virus, the words Chinese virus, and contribute to the stigma, because there's a danger that that stigma will outlast the virus itself.
Time he's in trouble, his poll numbers go down. Obviously, he's under massive criticism for how he's dealing with this pandemic, or rather not dealing with it. And so his consistent strategy has been when he's under attack, he attacks a group. And so him coming after Asians right now, I think is very consistent.
The xenophobic and hateful rhetoric and behavior directed at the Asian American community is unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. It's time to cut it out.
The president has previously referred to coronavirus as the, quote, Chinese virus, but later tweeted about the importance of protecting Asian Americans. We spoke to a USC student who's been tracking hate crimes to get his take on the situation.
So I'm not an American. I am a Korean national living in the United States right now, and I have seen the gradual change in attitude of Americans as it progressed from a regional, localized disease to a global pandemic. It first began in Wuhan. Americans were, already even then, people were kind of mocking all the international students wearing masks and saying, only international students are putting masks on and being all hypersensitive about this whole thing. This kind of has given people the excuse to be racist, to release their inner racism in them. I'm not even kidding. I have friends who are Chinese and who has been declined on Lyfts and Ubers because they're like, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable, taking you into my car because you're Chinese. Because of this constant mindset of crisis, that this attitude will almost be normalized is what I'm worried about.
At least 3 national organizations are tracking the hate crimes. The groups say that hundreds of people have filed reports, but that many incidents also go unreported.
President Carol Folt sent the Trojan community a message calling for support. In her video, she talks about 4 funds that have been set up for anyone who wants to donate to those impacted by COVID-19.
As we go through these times, and I think of your dedication and your commitment, it's a constant reminder to me and to our entire community that we will not only weather this crisis, but we will emerge stronger. If you're interested in helping, please go to the webpage and press the button asking how I can help.
There are more than 1 billion students whose schools have closed down due to coronavirus. Parents and children now have to navigate their learning experience online. I'm Sarah Legre, and today I talked with elementary school students and parents about their new experience.
Can you hear the little kid yelling from the background? That's my other 2. That's why school at home has been great.
The learning environment suddenly shifted from a traditional setting with classrooms and chalkboards to kitchens and living rooms. For some students, this news was music to their ears.
All excited and jumping up and down.
For others, the news sparks sadness.
Yeah, I did cry when I started. I was scared I wasn't going to be okay. It was kind of crazy for me. I just am not used to it.
Elementary schools across the country are trying to create new ways for students to learn online. But for some families, just the technology is a challenge.
If all of the schoolwork is done on a computer, well, there's 3 kids in the house. There isn't 3 computers.
Another mom of 3 has developed a schedule that's worked for her daughters.
If it's an hour block, then I'll say, okay, Ashley, you for the first 30 minutes do your math assignment online. Emily, you go do your 30 minutes of reading. So she'll go in her room and read, and then I'll flip them.
According to USC Rossier professor, learning can happen in any environment.
You know, our view of learning is really narrow, and there's learning all around us. So whatever parents are doing it can result in learning.
Professor Penzaval says parents can encourage their children to spend more time reading and writing. She says they can also get outdoors to observe and learn about nature and enjoy more quality time as a family. For Annenberg Media, I'm Sarah Allegre.
The Los Angeles Unified School District is reporting low participation numbers in online classes since campuses were shut down due to COVID-19. Of about 120,000 high school students, roughly 15,000 have had no online contact with their classroom. About 2,000 high school students were connected through the district's internet program, but only about 68% of students are participating, which means 40,000 are not.
We talked to a senior physician at the Long Beach Emergency Medical Group about what they do to ensure that they are not infected with the virus.
They check our temperature before we come into hospital. So, the nurses, the techs, the doctors, everybody gets screened for a fever. I will go to work. I'm not wearing my white coat anymore because the white coat potentially can carry, germs from patient to patient or back to home. Right now, I'm sleeping in a different room than my wife. More likely than not, everybody's going to get it. Everybody's going to get a low-grade fever.
A research team at USC Viterbi School of Engineering is working to create a vaccine for COVID-19. The team is isolating human antibodies that can fight the virus to create therapeutic treatments that would improve recovery times for patients. They have also created a hybrid virus that is covered with proteins from the coronavirus. They're creating a vector vaccine that will not contain the harmful components of the virus.
Students continue to raise concerns about reimbursements for university services. Incoming USG President Truman Fritz shared that students should expect an answer in the next 2 weeks. I'm Noah Cameras reporting from my home in West Hills, California. Fritz added that the reimbursements are expected to be pretty comprehensive and student concerns and perspectives are being raised to the provost.
We think that that's a great first step. But obviously, anything that we can do to alleviate the financial burden of students right now is great. And I think the biggest thing that we're also pushing for is to use any surplus money that we can find to start an emergency aid grant funding for program, emergency grant fund program for students, and to give some disbursements directly back to students.
In the midst of the COVID-19 outbreak, newly admitted USC students were excited to hear the good news. Some expressed concerns about coronavirus, but those we talked to said it will not affect their college decision.
But I think it would be really nice to know if we would have a semester on campus or not. And that's what I'm also thinking about too now with USC is that, like I said, it's been my dream school for the last couple of years, and not being able to have your first semester on campus freshman year, it's definitely going to be different. So I'm really hoping that by the time August rolls around, hopefully. So
this is not going to be affecting my decision. But I do know from some people that this information about COVID-19 is really affecting them and how they're going to decide their college. A lot of people are deciding to go closer to home rather than going farther away. And that's just because of instances like these and being far away from your family, because I live in Orlando, Florida, and that is a 5-hour flight.
USC's acceptance rate increased this year to 16%. 14% of those admitted are international students. The university received a total of 60,000 applications this year. USC Housing said it will still accept housing applications next week for admitted freshmen, even though the campus and dorms are now closed.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Isas with Annenberg Media Sports, here to give you some sports news. Today, the Pac-12 announced its updated rules to keep sports suspended. In a statement released this morning, they said all in-person activities are suspended for the next 2 months at least, and all virtual or online supervised workouts are not allowed. Coaches are allowed to host virtual group activities which includes things like studying film, but must be limited to the normal parameters, 2 hours a week for football and 4 hours for other sports. Other conferences like the SEC and Big 12 have already implemented a similar rule. Lastly, the Pac-12 is allowing non-athletic related support to athletes such as sports medicine treatments, physical therapy, and mental health support. Though the Pac-12 is not allowing online supervised workout instruction, team coaches can distribute written workouts or pre-recorded videos to athletes in order to keep them in shape. Schools are also allowed to send their players workout gear they would otherwise have access to on a normal basis. All these rules will be implemented through May 31st, but the conference did say they'll make periodic reevaluations if necessary. Now let's toss it over to Julia with an Olympic update.
Thanks for the update, Liz. Again, I'm Julia Adams reporting from Whitefish, Montana. For some Olympic news, the International Olympic Committee, the 2020 Tokyo Organizing Committee, and the government of Japan decided today on the new dates for the 2021 Olympics. And those dates are July 23rd till August 8th, exactly 1 year after the original dates. These new dates give both health authorities and all involved with the organization of the Games maximum time to deal with the constantly changing landscape and repercussions of the COVID-19 virus. The decision was based on three main considerations by the IOC. First, to protect the health of the athletes and everyone involved and to support containment of the COVID-19 virus. Second, to safeguard the interests of the athletes and of Olympic sport. Third, the global international sports calendar. We spoke to USA Olympic water polo player Paige Hochschild last week about the postponement of the Olympics.
It definitely threw a wrench into our plans, but when you do look at the bright side, it could be a really good thing for us as far as our performance at the Olympic Games whenever they are.
Following today's decision, IOC President Thomas Bach has hope for the 2021 Games, saying, quote, "Humankind currently finds itself in a dark tunnel. These Olympic Games, Tokyo 2021, can be the light at the end of the tunnel." It has been previously confirmed that all athletes already qualified and quota places already assigned for 2020 will remain unchanged for 2021. Caleb and Nicola, back to you guys for some more news.
After USC sophomore Bea Thomas saw firsthand the impact of COVID-19 on her family, she says she was inspired to do her part. Thomas designed a sweatshirt called Stay Lonely to help raise money for those affected by the virus. Thomas is hoping to promote social responsibility during this pandemic.
My initial thing was Meals on Wheels, thinking about my grandparents being scared to go to the grocery store, where they're very active people, they go out a lot, and all of a sudden they're very vulnerable to this weird virus. Meals on Wheels was doing initiatives to make sure that the elderly in America are getting what they need.
A new experiment is in the works to connect USC students with their perfect match. A group of 4 USC friends created a quiz using an algorithm they built to connect students with their soulmate. Students could choose if they wanted a platonic or romantic match and are expected to receive that match tomorrow. We talked to the creators to hear how this experiment came about.
We saw some dissonance in how the physical infrastructure at USC in the later years were supporting the formation of those new friendships. So I think there's two categories of questions. There's the funny multiple choice questions, and then there's the more psychological questions that are more of a personality quiz.
We wanted to just launch when it was ready. I think early we were wow, everyone's at home, everyone's super bored. This is an opportunity for us to connect people all over the world. We just want to give you one match that's perfect for you.
I think that whoever created this is genius. It's just fun and it's playful, and I think this is a good time to try to connect with people in creative ways.
The creators also shared that there are currently no concrete plans to conduct this experiment again, so make sure to take advantage of your perfect match.
Curious to see how USC is going to match me.
You're curious. Mm-hmm.
Very curious.
Especially in this time of loneliness.
Yeah, in this quarantine times. But thank you all so much for watching ATVN. I'm Caleb Michael.
And I'm Nicola Wenz. For more information on COVID-19, you can visit our website at uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night.
Good night.